Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Yoko from Japan. Welcome back to my channel. So it's time for random news in English. And in this video, as promised, I'm gonna talk about the difference between conservatives and liberals in Japan. But this will be probably very long and I'll make it into a series, okay? So I'll get started with simple fundamental things. But before I do, I have to tell you, assuming that the majority of my viewers are from the US, that the situation in my country, Japan, and yours are very different. So I'll be explaining how Japan is in this video. So please understand that instead of judging, whether it's right or wrong from your perspective, okay? Another important premise that I have to give you is that we need to consider the philosophical aspect and the current policies separately, because in Japan, there's a gap between deepening our thoughts in conservative philosophy and what the majority of the Japanese conservatives are insisting policy-wise. So therefore, I'm not here to say whether things are right or wrong. I'm gonna just talk about how things are here in Japan. As a side note, before I get into it, let me briefly speak on the basic differences between conservatives and liberals in the US that I see from Japan. Oh, this is gonna be good. So, in the US, conservatives claim their rights of gun ownership and liberals insist on gun control. Conservatives claim immigration control and liberals are open to even illegal immigration. And conservatives respect the life of unborn babies and liberals insist on abortion rights of pregnant women. And conservatives demand tax cuts and liberals demand greater social welfare. And also, this may be only a recent thing, but both conservatives and liberals in the US want strong policies against China. Having said that, I think that both conservatives and liberals in the US love the USA. But hold on, okay? I see that liberals have beliefs such as white guilt and critical race theory. And the most important thing that I see, though, is that conservatives in the US respect the founding ideals and constitution, and liberals insist on human rights and environment. And these are how conservatives and liberals in the US appear to my Japanese eyes, meaning that my view might be stereotypical, so you might have different opinions. So let me know if that's the case in the comment section below. Okay, finally, let's get into how Japan is. First of all, I'm a conservative in Japan, as you may probably know by now, but I self-claim so, and I know that others see me that way too. And why am I categorized as a conservative? Let me speak on that. I'll tell you the easiest way you can identify whether someone is conservative or liberal in Japan. I have to say that this is pretty rough, but it's a quick, easy way that will work like an instant litmus paper test. And that is whether someone agrees or disagrees to the revision of Article 9 of our Constitution, as I know that some of you already know. But so the Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution prohibits us from having a military. Now you may wonder, wait, doesn't Japan have a military? Yes. Japan does have self-defense forces, and Japan's self-defense forces are military forces, as anyone can see. Japan does not possess nuclear weapons, but we do have fighter jets and tanks, and we even have the world's top-class submarines. So, of course, this should mean that Japan's self-defense forces are our military. However, the Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution clearly bans the possession of military forces. And now we need to look back in history a little bit. After Japan lost World War II, the Japanese army was dissolved, and as you know, the current Japanese constitution is something that the US wrote, and it was announced in 1946. And the Japan Self-Defense Forces were established in 1954, and the forces were formed as Japan was influenced by the Korean War. And ideally speaking, we should have revised our constitution first and then have our military officially, but it didn't go that way because the criteria for the revision of our constitution is very high. In order to revise our constitution in Japan, we first need the approval of 2/3 of legislators of the National Diet. in post-war Japan back then, socialist power was very strong, and even though the conservatives always maintained to hold the majority of the national diet, we couldn't reach the 2/3. And that's why our government at the time had to bend the constitutional interpretation and establish the Japan Self-Defense Forces that way. And this means that Japan just kept the constitution, which prohibits us from having our military as it is, and made a military. And therefore, from those days to today, there has been an argument that Japan Self-Defense Forces violate our constitution. And thus, Japanese conservatives want to revise the Article 9. It is such an abnormal situation that military forces violate the constitution. So all we conservatives want to do is to decide to have our military under our constitution and to honor our soldiers. However, as you can imagine, Japanese liberals are radically against this. Japanese liberals, they oppose to every single policy which improves the self-defense forces. Every single one. Their belief is to dishonor the Japan self-defense forces and make them as weak as possible. And now this video is getting long, so I'm gonna end it here, and this series might continue for long. But I'll be happy if you get familiar with Japanese conservatives. So before you go, please subscribe to this channel, Random Miyoko 2, and also follow me on Twitter at Random Miyoko. So until next time, please take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!